Howdy folks, and welcome to the video for the Russian premium tier 5 destroyer, the Gremyashchy. The Gremyashchy, or the Gremy, is definitely a bit of an odd duck, which doesn't mean it's not good. This is my, I believe, one and only game in the Gremyashchy, so I certainly can't claim to be an expert, but I feel like there's some real positives here to build on, and I had fun this game. It's a good game. Not going to get an amazing amount of damage, but it's going to be a win, and I feel like I'm going to have some good battle impact. I'm going to play very conservatively. The Gremyaschy feels like a ship of extremes. It is very unusual, especially for a Russian boat. But then that's what premiums should be, right? Some positives, some negatives, something a little different play style. So, for example, the Gremyaschy has really long range torpedoes at 8 kilometers, but they're very, very slow at 55 knots. So it's going to be tough to hit anything from 8 kilometers. It's got good concealment. I've got it all the way spec'd up to 6.1, which means it has a full 1.9 of stealth torpedo range, which is amazing for tier 5. That's incredible. The guns are very odd. They have incredibly slow, like glacially slow turret traverse, kind of like the Okhotnik, I believe, if I remember right. They hit hard. They have adequate reload, and they have really good range. So I decided to back off and just like farm this Derfingler from range, and that worked all right. I mean, I wouldn't say it was amazing, but just the fact that I could even do it at all is interesting to me. I mean, admittedly, I am completely humping the map border, so this is not exactly stellar gameplay, but it's because I was very unfamiliar with the Gremyaschy, and also because this thing doesn't actually turn all that well. It goes really fast in a straight line, but it doesn't turn terribly well. I'm going to realize that I've gone as far as the map border, and I'm going to try to get back into the flow of battle, which is the other nice thing about having a 40-knot boat, right? That you can afford to make a mistake like this and get back into play. Obviously, the credit for this victory has to go to players on my team, like this Omaha. This is certainly not my victory that I can take credit for. Not sure what this Derfingler was thinking. Maybe he forgot that Omahas have torpedoes. I don't know. Very, very brave Omaha player. But yeah, the Gremyaschy, like super fast in a straight line, not amazing at turning. Powerful guns, adequate reload, incredibly glacially slow turret traverse. Hard hitting torpedoes, 14,000+ damage, 8 kilometer range, just very slow. So yeah, I mean, I think this is exactly what premium should be, right? It's a slightly harder ship to play than most of the tech tree equivalents, but it also potentially has a lot more power. Of course, you're not really getting to see that in this game. I think there's a way to play this ship. I think if I played it again, I would play it a little more Paolo Emilio-y, you know, where I would just like try and take unsuspecting targets and dev strike them with these torpedoes, because you could absolutely do it. Like, you get 6 torpedoes and they each do 14,000+ damage. So at tier 5, that's going to dev strike everybody. Like, if you hit all those torpedoes, that is absolutely going to dev strike everyone. Yoink my first kill here on this Krasny Krim. And then my plan is basically just to jet into this cap zone and cap it and win the game, which is why I'm not going to get very much damage, because that plan is going to basically work. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised and impressed by the Gremyaschy. It's also really cool looking. I love the ships. This is why I like the Okhotnik, one of the reasons anyway. I love the ships with these red decks. I don't know where that comes from, if that's historically accurate, but it's cool. I don't know if they paint the decks to get that effect or how they do that, but I think it's pretty neat. Still don't think it's as good as the Fujin. The Fujin is just much more flexible, but I would have to play the Gremyaschy a few more games. I mean, I will say the Fujin's guns are pretty anemic, and these are a good bit stronger, and you still get some really powerful torpedoes. They even have a little bit more range, but you're going to have a devil of a time hitting anything at 8 kilometer range. And the main advantage, which I always come back to on the Fujin, is that incredible concealment, which, I mean, 6.1 isn't bad, but 5.4 is just outstanding, right? So I think the Fujin is probably still the better bet if you happen to be lucky enough to own both of these. But certainly this is a good ship. I can see having some really, and the big advantage of those high damage output torpedoes would be against bots. So if you do spawn into a game or a flank with an above average number of bots, and you just need to do a lot of damage quickly, you can totally do it in the Gremyaschy. Those torpedoes are going to absolutely pull that off. So yeah, these guns hit really hard against destroyers. This Minikaze has no chance unless he hits me with a torpedo, which I'm just not going to let him do. But you see, the problem here is that almost like a cruiser or a battleship, when I turn, I can't get my guns on target. That's really interesting problem to have in a destroyer. I'm now going to turn away from the inevitably onrushing torpedoes, which, by the way, hit very hard. So I do not want to take any of those. And yes, here they are. I'm going to do a masterful job of avoiding these torpedoes. Masterful job of forgetting which way is left and right and almost turning the tail of my boat directly into that torpedo. That would have been embarrassing. I don't think I would have sunk. That wouldn't have sunk me, but would have been embarrassing. And now obviously the game is over. So, do I recommend the Gremyaschy? Yeah, I think so. If you don't already have a Fujin, especially, or a Kamikaze or a Kamikaze R, all of which, by the way, if you didn't know, are the same ship. Yeah, I like this. I think if that's true. I mean, I also like the Calamar a lot. I'd say those are my top three. This, the Calamar, and the Fujin. Those three are clearly, I mean, I guess for funsies, you'd probably want to throw the Okodnik somewhere in the mix. I wouldn't say it's as good as these three. It's just so single purpose, and the torpedoes are so odd. This is actually a little bit like getting the joy of playing the Okodnik, but without having to go full Okodnik, if that makes any sense. It's not the long, strong boy as much, but it's more useful. It's more flexible. Yeah, I mean, just the fact that you can stealth torpedo with this thing is a huge win. Obviously, wish the torpedoes were a little faster, but it is what it is. You can't have everything. And actually, at Tier 5, a lot of ships have slow torpedoes, so that's not particularly unusual. I always have to remember to calibrate my expectations against Tier 5. All the destroyers I mentioned, the Calamar, this, and the Fujin, feel fun to play in the sense that they feel very modern. Like they don't have serious flaws. They don't have those ridiculous short-range torpedoes or incredibly anemic guns, or they can't be spotted from space. They don't have any strategic flaws. They're good all-around ships. The Gremyaschy definitely is quirky, like with that weird turret traverse, but it's not broken. It's flexible and a good all-arounder. So that'll do it for this one. Sorry about the low damage game. I'll see you in the next one.